We're joined here tonight with scientist Alif, the founder of Aspargo, and welcome to the show, man. Thanks for coming and talking to us with Harvest Swap.
No worries. Thanks, Thomas. Thanks for inviting. So, hi, everyone. My name is Alif. I'm the founder of Aspargo. I'm here to talk to Harvest Swap. Thanks for the invite, Thomas. Very, very excited to be here. Very excited for our conversation. I think it's been a while in the making for us to have these meetings. So, really looking forward to developing this chat a little bit further.
Do you mind starting exactly what your profession is? I know you're a scientist, but how you got started with that and what made you want to follow that road?
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'll try to keep it short. So by trade, I'm a biotechnologist. So biotechnology it's a branch of biology that looks at harnessing the power of nature and turn that into some commercial application. So if you think about beer, for example, that's a biotechnological application. The way that I focus my field is in agriculture, food production. So I studied ways of looking at plants, at crops, and try to find ways to make them either more nutritious, more resilient to environmental conditions, and essentially ways to increase food production by breeding more resilient plants. And I guess I got into this so I studied 5 years of biology, and I did all that really focusing on environmental conservation. And that slowly sort of like dragged me into agriculture. So I did a 1 year of internship in Germany, working with climate change and agriculture and how that would impact the future. And that was my first exposure to agriculture. It's like, wow, cool. That's a nice space of biology. Let's just keep diving into it. And by the time that I graduated, I was just, okay, I need to find something practical. And that's when I came across biotech.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, I didn't know before you went to Germany as well, and
Yeah, I lived
been
in
all over the
Stuttgart.
world.
That was pretty cool. Pretty cold, I'll tell you that much. It was,
Yeah,
but it was very, very nice. It was a pretty cool research.
yeah, that's awesome. And I guess coming to Aspargo, how did you first come up with the idea to make this app, and what's the journey been like?
Yeah, well, this is just gonna start from the back, as from the end. It's like the journey's been crazy. Every
Yeah,
day in my life, it's so dynamic now. Things are changing really fast. But let me just go back to the beginning of the question and try to answer that. And I guess for people watching, and if you don't know yet, Aspergo is a mobile app that we're developing, and the idea is to create an online community for local growers and micro growers to connect directly to consumers, but also create a space for people that want to be more sustainable. They can come together and then share the sort of like sustainability aspect. We're really trying betting on the power of community to make society more sustainable. And I guess how I started and what made inspired me to create Aspergo, I think it stems from a frustration that I have with part of my own career. So as I said, my career was really heavily focused on food production, so increasing food. And the more you study, obviously you read a lot of paper and you check on your colleagues' work, and then the more you dive into the food industry, you realize that we actually produce a lot of food, we just
yeah,
waste a lot. So there is the need for us to increase production, so we produce more within the same space, but there's also the need for us to address the logistics side of it. And it's interesting because there's two aspects of the problem. I think the first side of the problem is that when we talk about food waste, we can talk about food waste from the point of view of the country that is a developing country. And then most of the food waste that comes from this is usually because there's lack of infrastructure to keep that food. So there's something called the cold supply chain, which is basically the ability to keep, it's what's involved in when you harvest the food and you put the food in containers to keep it cool so you can transport it to the shelf, right? Developing countries, they don't have that infrastructure. So a lot of food is lost throughout the process of, from harvesting to the transportation to the plate. And then we've got the problem with developed countries. So people waste a lot of food after the food has been cooked, for example. So it's two dimensions of the problem. And then what we really focus on Aspergo is the first part of the conversation that I had with the transport. A lot of food gets lost because of transportation and because we source it from really far. So how can we reduce that transportation and then allow people to source locally? And there's a lot of people that do that. They go to the farmers market and buy shop locally from the local growers. But the problem is, what about the rest? The people that don't necessarily like going to the farmers market, or they can't because it's so restricted. It's on specific days, specific times, and some people just can't make it. So I was thinking about this problem and really understanding this narrative that we're like, okay, how can we come up with a solution that makes sustainability convenient, that makes shopping locally easy for everyone, not just for people that want to do that. And then that's what we're trying to build.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I guess with that is I love how it's regular people too. Just they're growing their own produce and linking up with other people.
Yeah,
And like
absolutely.
you got your community.
Exactly. And then that's actually something that there's a story that I love telling that really shows people the power of communities, especially when it comes to urban gardens. So I like that you mentioned the point of the app is not only for growers, it's actually for people that are also growing their own food. So if you've got a vegetable garden or if you have something in your garden and you're producing more than you need, you can just share with the neighbor, right? We're just facilitating this process. But a cool story that it's really inspiring. It's there is a case in Havana. So in the mid 90s, the city of Havana in Cuba faced enormous, like really, really bad economical pressure because the Soviet Union at the time was the main trading partner of Cuba, collapsed, and then obviously that led to the country to face really, really big problems with the economics, right? And then a way that they found to get out of the crisis was the government started to incentivize and promote urban farms. So they go like, okay, let's just turn rooftops, vacant lots, your own garden, your own backyard into actual gardens, and let's just try to produce food. And the people of Havana, of the city of Havana, start doing that, and they convert a lot of lots, vacant lots, rooftops into actual gardens and number of farms. And then what happens is that the city of Havana starts producing 1.5 million tons of food annually just
Wow.
from urban gardens. And they basically convert, I think they had like 8,000. Up to date, we've got 8,000 urban gardens in the city of Havana, covering up to 35,000 acres of, turned into productive land in a city.
Wow.
So that only goes to show how, there is a massive power and opportunity in small actions in urban gardens to change, actually have a real impact in communities.
I didn't know that story at all, man. And that's like it seems like they're way ahead of everyone. That's what you want to see everywhere in the world.
And then this is something that is not very uncommon. If you're interested later, look at the example of just Google like urban garden change Detroit.
Yep.
It's a good example as well. Pennsylvania was a massive example in the United States of how urban farming changed their economy. And then there's examples of how urban gardens increase the price of properties
Yeah.
because now you've got more green and stuff, and then they increase the access to food as well. So the real estate of that particular community went up. So it's crazy. If you dig into it, you find so many examples in developing countries, in developed countries as well. So it's really powerful.
Yeah, that's awesome. People, yeah, coming together doing that is pretty cool. And it's awesome what you said about the property value going up. And I guess too, you're being in a good community as well. Like that with that living in that area where that's going on, you're gonna find like-minded people and want to be there.
Absolutely. It's that I think we had the conversation when we went for our little dinner. We spoke
Yeah,
about how one of the things that we want to promote with Aspargo is not only, I mean, it's the main thing, the free trade of food. So we start relying less on centralized ways of producing and sourcing food. So we just really want to make things easier for the common Joe to source locally and be more sustainable. But one of the main points that we really want to tap into is the ability of people to be more connected. Don't get me wrong, social media is great. It's a great tool for people to promote themselves and to generate knowledge and connect. But I think it's getting to a certain level that instead of connecting and bringing us together, it's actually pulling us apart.
Yeah.
So we've got 1 million followers on our social media, but do we know our neighbor? Um,
Yeah.
I haven't, for a great example, actually, I haven't known my neighbor. I didn't know my neighbor, and I've up until what, 2 months ago, and I've been living in the same house for 3 years. So he pops
Yeah.
up on my Aspargo map, and I see like, well, that's quite close. So I text him. It's like, oh hi, I live in this place in this suburb. Like I can see you quite close. And it's like, yeah, I live around here. It's like, oh, I think we're
Wow.
actually neighbors. When I see he's actually next door, he's literally next door, and he's got this massive hydroponic setup, and now we're friends. So
Wow.
that's a massive thing that we want to do it as well, like bring people together, because the
Yeah.
whole app is centered around people that's around you, not, not talking to people that it's in the United States or over in South America.
Yeah.
It's your community. So you're right, like talking to your community, it's something that we really want to do, like bring people together and strengthen those relationships.
Yeah, that's a really cool story, man. Like, yeah, living right
No,
next to
Peter's a good guy.
me. What's I guess what's been the most challenging part about putting this together?
Oh, I think, well, first, juggling two jobs has been really challenging. Like work as a full-time researcher and developing the app, it's been really challenging.
Yeah.
But I think the most complicated bit is, and I think it still is, it's really improving upon the feedback. So when you develop an app, you obviously care about how the other person is using, especially if you're creating like a social app. I want it to be easy for everyone. So what about, and then I want it to be easy for everyone, not just for an age bracket. So something that we're struggling with is how do we make this accessible for older generations so it's easier for them to update that. We don't want to create a tool and just like, yep, nah, if you don't know how to use technology, then goodbye. No. So it's being, because we want to reach all of the spectrum, it's been really challenging, and it's been a constant process for us to reiterate on the application itself, so it's, user friendly for everybody. And that's involved a lot of interviews as well. I've been going, my weekends I spend going to farmers market, talking to growers, and then talking to the people that go there. I'm going to start going to those age care homes to talk to people as well, and understand how we can introduce that to their sort of day to day, because that could be an activity for them
Yeah.
to start gardening and donate to their communities, and sort of like introduce these people back into the community, because we
Yeah.
oftentimes neglect our elderlies, right? And that's just not nice. So how do we also integrate those people? So it's been a fun but very challenging process, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, that's incredible. I love what you said about, bringing them back into the community. I think that's a pretty nice idea, and it's yeah, that's wonderful.
Oh, thanks, man.
And that's like the most challenging part. What's been the most, I guess, exciting and rewarding part of it? Yeah.
Talking to people.
Yeah.
It's super exciting to talk to people, especially because at this stage we're talking, we're really reaching out to those people that are ready do that. Like for yourself, for example, you created such an amazing community in Australia. I was going to
Yeah.
say WA, but literally
Yeah.
like really Australia wide, right?
Yeah.
And then talking to people that see the potential, and then see the impact that these sort of projects can have in our society, it really is exciting, because you go have a conversation, and you come back with 30, 50, 100 new ideas, and you just don't know where to start.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting seeing how people are excited about doing something for their community, and then how people still have hope in terms of like what they can do to make this planet a better place for the next generation. So that's been rewarding, really, really rewarding.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. And with like the design of your app, everything looks nice too, and
Oh,
like it's
thanks.
not confusing. It's like the presentation of it is simple, and yeah, green obviously, like your
Yeah.
colors. But who put all that together? Is that like your ideas, or do you have a team behind you?
Yeah, no, it was actually me. I love doing things that I don't know how to
Yeah,
do, and I love, really trying to understand and doing something, especially when it comes to being creative.
yeah,
The UI, I mean, the coding side of it, we've got a team working on it because I don't know
yeah,
how to code.
yeah,
the front end, the UI, which is what you see, was all me. I went, there's a website called Figma, which you can sort of like play around and then sort of like create a little design for yourself. And then I created the idea. And then when I sent it to my team, they were like, we like it. We're just gonna change a few things. They obviously improved and built upon it,
Yeah.
but the colors, the the colors, the layout and everything, I came with the idea.
Yeah, nice. And
Yeah, which is good. It's good to
yeah,
have my touch there.
you did well with it, man. That's cool.
Thanks, thanks, thanks.
Uh,
What's up? They improve. I have to say, like they really improved a lot as well. Like
yeah,
there was a lot of suggestions and feedback, but the overarching, I guess,
yeah,
structure of the interface was me.
yeah, cool. Did they, was it a lot of going back and forth with the coding and stuff? Like they'd make something and you have to say, no, I don't want it to work like this. It has to be this way.
Up to today, it's like every day.
Yeah.
So we're now on the process. I think for the design itself was smoother because I was able to do something. I built something that it was visually easy for them to sort of like hold on. Whereas when it comes to the interactions, like how people use the app and the functionalities and features, I don't know how to code. So I would spend an hour talking through how I wanted something to look like, or just, a particular feature, what function I wanted it to have, and they will code something. And
Yeah.
I didn't really explain that well. I was like, oh, that's not what I meant.
Yeah.
Um, so there's a lot of back and forth. Honestly, up to
Yeah.
today, we've got at least 2, 3 meetings every week. So we're now in the process of releasing one version of the app every Friday. So
Yeah.
if you open your app today, and you're gonna see that you can update to a new version, and now the app is going to look way more like a proper social media. So we're building an interface that's familiar to everybody, so
Yeah.
you can just jump and use it. But there's always back and forth in terms of, yeah, that's not quite what I meant. So I spent hours on end on a calls in, but it's usually good. It's usually very good and productive.
Yeah, nice. It's like it sounds like you put in a lot of hard work. I guess, you got the coding and everything going on. Did you, do the marketing yourself? Because you got some pretty cool videos as well.
Thank you. Yes. Um, no, that part I'm having a lot of help actually.
Yeah.
So I've got my friend, my best friend is now living with me.
Yeah.
He is a photographer
Yeah.
and he's got like a very nice setup. So we set up the cameras and the lights here in the office. And I had an idea of an interview, and then I had another friend who wanted to interview me about this project to write something. So he sat in front of me, started asking questions. So I had the opportunity. That's why I think I'm looking sideways,
Yeah.
if I'm not wrong. So it was easier to do that. And
Yeah.
then I've got another friend who is designer and a videographer. So he's editing everything and he's doing all the work.
Yeah.
So a lot of helping there, a lot of help. Only my words, all the rest, the other people helping.
Yeah. Nah, that's good. You just found a good team. Did you
Yeah,
deliberately pick those people or it just happened?
no, it just happened really. So I'm really lucky because my friends are really talented. So I've
Yeah.
got a lot of people that have multiple skills that are really useful to this project close to me.
Yeah.
But most of the people that are actually involved in the project, they're just passionate about the idea, just really buy the idea that we can, as a community and a society, do better. We can,
Yeah.
we, I mean, it's great that we came so far exploring different ways of producing and new technologies. But we're at the moment that we know that we've caused enough damage already to the environment, and we need to change the way we do things. So I think every single person who's involved in this project really buys this vision of, from here on, as a community, we can take steps towards making things better. And it starts small, local, and it expands. We've done this before. There's no excuse for us not to do it again. We can do it again.
Yeah.
So really passionate people, really, really interesting people that just want to help and do and take this project to the next level.
Yeah. Nice. What advice would you give to someone who wants to take on a project or build an app, not necessarily the same as yours, but do their own thing, like you found your passion? Obviously, what advice would you give to someone starting out?
Can I give two?
Yeah.
I think I'd say just start with what you have and talk to people. So two things that were critically important to the building up and development of Aspargo to what it is now. So I think I remember I think I've mentioned to you 5 months ago that was a PowerPoint presentation. Now we've got an app deployed both on Google Play and Apple Store. We're on the third version already. We've got nearly 200 users just in Perth. So it's been a massive journey, right? That wouldn't have happened if I hadn't started with what I had. So I didn't know how to code. I didn't have a team. I didn't know who would be my team, like where to find them. But I wanted to create something. So I jumped on Figma and I designed the framework of the app. That was enough for me to be able to talk to friends and then other people that they're altered stakeholders and show something beyond my words, or what was in my brain. And then by providing them with that visual cue, then they were able to say, oh, I think these would look better and better and better. So you start building your team without having a team, just by communicating with people, because like it's impossible. I mean, you can have an amazing idea, but you won't be able to build anything by yourself. It's always a teamwork. It's never like a solo player. So just start and talk to people. Talk to people, and then day by day you'll progress, and then things start. It's exponential. Things start growing, and then you start bringing the resources, and then it just gets easier and faster.
That's
Maybe
incredible,
not
man.
easier.
Yeah, that's cool. What I want to ask you now, yeah, what's your obviously got the bookshelves there. What's your top three books
Oh,
of all
great.
time?
So my top one, it's actually a child's, I don't even have to think about it. It's a child's book. It's called, I think it's The Horse, the Mole, and the Boy, and the Fox. Have you seen this book?
No,
It actually won an Oscar just
wow.
recently. Apple, yeah. So it's a kid's book. I hope I'm not saying this wrong because it's my favorite book. It's the boy, the mole, the horse, and the fox. Um, it's what, 26 pages. It's an illustration. It's amazing. It was written for kids, but I don't think it was meant for a kid. It's such a powerful message.
Yeah,
Apple turned that into a cartoon and actually won the Oscar. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Super recommended. It's very important for whoever's like a grown up, as they call in the book, and then is struggling with talking and asking for help in
yeah,
whatever case, even as was the example we gave, like working on a project.
yeah,
The second one is Homo Sapiens. I love that book. It's so dense and so challenging to read, but
yeah.
it's a very, very, very interesting book, and I think it's really into biology as well. So that's why I like. Um, a third book. Um, I'm, I want to say just there is a book. I'm trying to remember the name. It's also documentary in Netflix. Because I wanted to say one in Portuguese, but I'm trying to think, because I'm obviously from Brazil,
Yeah.
but I'm trying to think of one in English. There's one. I'm actually gonna give you The Oceans. So I think I've got it here somewhere. I do. Uh, so this book here is amazing. Unfortunately, it's in Portuguese. It's called the sea that surrounds us, or the ocean that surrounds us.
Yeah.
It's quite technical, but it's almost like a romance. It talks about the process of like how the earth came together,
Uh,
but the author writes it in a very romantic way. So it's very easy to read. You don't have to have a biology background to read it.
yeah. So yeah, so yeah, anyone could pick up and read without having
Oh,
like
absolutely. I
studied
read
for it.
it before. I read it when I was 14. I keep on reading every year, so it's pretty good.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to ask you, what I guess get more insight on you and what you like, obviously.
Yeah,
You know,
very nerdy, you can tell. Like out of the three, two
that's
were
cool.
science, but
Yeah.
I don't
Uh,
usually read a lot of fiction. I really try. I'm a very sensitive person, so I really try and read things that either resonate to me with me at a intellectual level. So things that I'm really interested in, so technicalities, so science per se,
yeah,
or things that talk to my soul. So the boy, the horse, and the mole. It's it speaks really, really well to a side of me that really likes talking, talking to people, connecting with people, and understanding, the stories that wanting to hear the stories that these people want to share. I love that. I love human connection, and that book really touches really deep in that sort of like aspect of my life. So I'm always dividing into these two worlds. I should read more fiction, but I tend not to.
Yeah, man, that's no, it's good. It's good to learn, read a bit of both. Like, but
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to check out those books you mentioned too now.
you should, especially the first one.
Yeah, I will. That's got me intrigued. I definitely want to see it.
What is
Uh,
your favorite? Like, what is your top three? I
mine
yeah, wondering now.
first one. Okay, I guess it was a kid's book too. My mum had it when she was like in year two or something, and like she still had that book.
Yeah,
And gave it to me. It's called "It All Happened One Summer." And it's like this girl goes to live on a farm, and it's just like a cool story about sort of I guess growing up on a farm.
nice.
And
Yeah.
just I just read that when I was younger, so I love that. There's a book. Not sure if you heard of it. The Brain That Changes Itself.
No,
I
sounds cool.
I, I think you'll like that one.
What is
That's
it
more
about?
one story in there was like they lost their sight from whatever disease and they had, and they're looking into it like changing the way your brain thinks, like picking up senses from a different part of the body, like
Yeah.
from the ears,
Wow.
and restoring some of the vision.
Wow.
By and it was trying to think of the author now. Is I think you'll like it, but yeah, it's all stuff like that that different parts of your body, and they're trying to work out like your vision wasn't 100% from the eye. It was picking up receptors from your hearing and like smell. That they're just playing around with different stuff, and you know the brain was changing and adapting. And
Wow.
but yes, it's definitely a good book. Yeah,
What is the name again? The rain that changes itself?
the brain that changes itself.
Oh, the brain, not the rain.
The
Nice. I'll
brain.
check it out. Yeah. That really sounds like my kind of book. I enjoy this.
I had it right
Very
here.
technical sounds. It sounds like Sapiens, the one that I mentioned as my second up.
Yeah,
Yeah, very dense to read and hard to read, but rewarding, I guess.
I'm not sure if you can see
The
that.
brain that changes itself. Norman Doge. Nice.
Yeah,
I'll check it out.
yeah, it's about yeah, it's neuroplasticity.
You're
So
right. I love that. Oh, look, if you're interested in these topics, there's one book that you should definitely read. It's
yeah,
called, it's one of my favorites as well. I don't think it's just, yeah, perhaps not on the top three or maybe top three. I don't know. It's hard. But it's called The Selfish Gene. Have you ever heard of it by Richard Dawkins? That's a
no,
book that every single person should read. Like every single human in this planet should read The Selfish Gene. It talks about empathy and altruism. You wouldn't think by the name.
yeah, that's
It talks about altruism. It talks about the real nature about being altruistic, but the genetics basis for it. So it's very scientific. It talks about genes. It's a genetic book. It's written by a geneticist. But Richard Dawkins he did a fantastic job in writing this book because it is easy to read. You learn a lot about biology, but the underlying message is so powerful because it talks about altruism. It talks about how we connect with one another and then the reasons behind our actions. So highly recommend as well.
yeah, definitely. I'll definitely get that now.
Yeah, no, 100%. So yeah, the,
Yep,
the the boy, the horse, and the mole, and the selfish gene. Probably just go for this two. I'd highly recommend.
I'll get that. And the ocean. Was it
Yeah, that one. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the version in English, and then I'll give you the right name. That one is
yeah.
beautiful as well.
Yeah. By the way, I did a really terrible job of explaining this book. As no
No,
one's ever asked me before on this. So I was caught off guard, and I was just like,
nah, you're good. It got me excited at least, so I'll buy the book
yeah,
definitely.
yeah. So it's about the brain rewiring itself basically. Blind people learn to see. Yeah, it's all different stuff. It's an awesome read.
Nice.
I've actually bought this book twice because when I was on the East Coast, I left one over there, and then I bought it again
You're
over
right.
here. Yeah, so no, like I've thought about it, years later, and I was like, I want to read that book again. It was cool.
Nice.
What are, I guess, your values? You've obviously got a positive message, and you got a good thing going on with the app, and how you carry yourself. What are your main values, I guess, that are important?
Wow. Deep question. Yeah. Look, it's hard for me really to put down in one word, but
Yeah,
I think I'll put in a sentence and then hopefully that will make sense. I think something that is really important to me that I would treat as a value is staying true to where I came from. I don't come from a wealthy family. It was really hard for me to even to be able to have this conversation right now with you in English, not being my first language. It was really it was do you know that saying of it takes a village to raise a child?
yeah,
That's exactly my life. Like my parents and my family gave me everything to be where I am right now.
yeah,
So it really is important for me to understand that the more opportunities I get in life, I gotta understand that a lot of people are not in this position. So I have to do my very best to be able to help them. And I think that's where I take a step back from the university and then doing science that would, this cutting edge technology. And now, okay, let's just take a more practical approach. How can you use communities to do what I'm doing, but something tangible that will impact people's life? Um, so it really is important for me to stay true to my old self because it's part of me. It's who I was and who I am.
yeah,
And in integrity as well. I I really appreciate when people are integral, like they own up to their actions and
yeah,
their word. I grew up with listening to my dad saying that a man has only got one thing, and it's this thing is its word, his word. So if you say something, do it. Live up to it. So integrity is really important to me.
yeah. No, it's nice, and I guess that ties in, yeah, with your app, and you got that strong message.
Well, I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope so. I really hope so. I'm actually starting this little project. I probably shouldn't talk about it, but that will force me to continue doing it.
Okay.
Um, I'm gonna start a series of storytelling videos on Aspargo profile to teach people about science in a captivating way.
Yeah.
And when you say like your app really captures this message, I really hope so because what I'm trying to do is really inspire people to realize the potential of their actions. It's not what I'm building, but it's because it's just a tool. You know, you can give a hammer, but if you don't have a hand to hammer the nail down, then it's useless, right? So
Yeah.
I'm just building a tool. The protagonist of it are the people. So I really hope that the app inspired people to realize that they can do a lot, not more. They can do a lot, and then they can have a real impact by doing just a little.
Yeah. Man, that's I like analogy you use there with the hammer and your hand. And it's dead on. Who's been, I guess, your biggest influences?
Oof. Professionally, personally,
Uh,
both.
okay, yeah, go both.
Okay. I think in terms of professionally speaking, I've got a mentor.
Yeah,
His name is Wilson. He's honestly my like that person that I look up to.
yeah,
Um, Simply because he's a very successful man. He's very, very smart, but it's so hard for you to tell that he's got everything he's got or he's done everything he's done when you're sitting across a table drinking a coffee. He's very humble and he's always willing to teach you. And it's in a very, very humble and welcoming way. And that ever since I met him like 4 years ago at the university up until now, through our regular meetings and trainings, I've grown so much without realizing that I was being taught. So I think that's one skill that every lecturer should have, which is being humble enough and then welcoming enough to teach someone critical skills by allowing them to make mistakes.
yeah,
So a powerful person, powerful figure in my life. And in my personal life, my mom, who's built an empire for herself without finishing school. And when I say empire, it's like nothing in terms of being wealthy or anything. It's just like she's managed she had a very tough life. I lost my uncle, her brother, without being actually before even I was born. She lost her brother at the age of 9. a lightning came down the house. Don't even know if we should talk about this on this. It's very, very strong. You can
Yeah.
cut it off.
That's okay.
But I grew up with an image of it is a very strong person in front of me, like a very, very, very strong person of me. I never saw my mom breaking down, but at the same time, I never saw her not being vulnerable. So a lot of people that portray this image of being strong, they build a lot inside because they don't talk. My mom, so they at one point it just fall apart. My mom was strong because she was able to go through the harsh moments, but also ask for help when she needed. And that really showed me. And that's why I say, like, talk to people. I got this from home. Like, I grew up seeing my mom really doing a lot, not really having the energy to do it herself, but knowing when it was time to step back and just ask for help. And then she's done this from a very age because she was on her own for a long time when she was younger. And she's really a role model to me. It's very cliche that I'm mentioning my mom because a lot of people
Nice.
tag their parents, but she's just an incredible and strong woman. Again, she gave me opportunities that, like from where I'm from, I'm literally the only person from the block that I grew up that speaks English or any other language for what it's
Wow.
worth. Um,
Yeah.
and that was not because that's not because I'm smart. That's because my parents sheltered me and then gave me the opportunity that they couldn't have.
Yeah.
They taught me how to take those opportunities, which is also really important.
Yeah. Yeah, they did well. You've come a long way, man.
Thanks, man.
Just coming back to the the vision. Where do you see Aspargo going? Like, what's your goal for it? I guess what's your end goal? Like, where you'll go? Yep, this is where I wanted it. This is it.
Yeah. That's a very, very interesting question, which I have been thinking a lot lately. Um, because there's what I'm doing now, and that's where I want to get. But I really would like for Aspargo to be a disruptive mechanism into the existing way we produce and store food. I really would love for it to be the driver of a cultural shift where people realize that yes, we can be connected globally because it's good culturally speaking, but we need to also rely on what we have here and then strengthen our communities. And let's start through food. So I see Aspergo as in the future, hopefully, as the main channel for us to source things locally, for us to source, connect with our growers. I like to say, for us to be able to see the face of our food. We go to the supermarket, we buy food, we don't know who grew it. We don't know the challenges about growing it. And that's why we create as a social media as well. So growers can teach and educate people, they can show themselves. It's a face behind the product, you know. We just got too used to the convenience of going to the grocery shop and then buy stuff. So I wanted to be, if not the main, one of the main, like a strong channel for people to have an option to source locally, to connect with the people that actually dedicate their lives to feed us,
Yep.
and to be more sustainable as well. Because I think that's the path forward. We need to find ways to be more sustainable in the way we do things on our daily basis.
Definitely, I think yeah, sustainability is a big one now, especially going into the times we're living in. I think the more people are aware, are becoming aware as well, and the more the better.
Yeah, I think we're living a lot of people are very pessimistic about the times that we live in because things are changing so quickly that
Yeah,
it's scary. But I think we're living a very in a good time, in a good moment for opportunities as well. It's very unique the fact that we've got three generations coexisting at the moment. We've got three powerful generations. So we've got an older generation that is used to let's optimize things and grow at all costs.
yeah,
So if we have a process that produces manually, that it gives one or two output of something, and we find a way of automating it, so we now have 2,000 or 10 or 100,000. Let's just do it without questioning the consequences. We've got the generation in between, which is my generation, that was like, oh yeah, no, it's great, but what about this? Like it's
yeah,
that may have a consequence in the future. And we've got the next generation, the coming generation, which it's a generation that's quite, I would say, strongly opinionated, right? Like they
Yeah.
know what they want.
Yeah.
They know, or at least they think they have an idea of where they want to head, and they're starting to criticize like, okay, cool, you've done that, you've pointed out what challenges are, and we're deciding that we're no longer going to do that.
Yeah.
So let's just find a different way.
Yeah.
So I think it's a great opportunity for us to really change processes and then really do things in a better way as we keep developing. Um, so yeah, it's a great time to be living in. I guess that there will be amazing opportunities coming up, I guess, and
Mm.
solutions as well.
Yeah, definitely. And you're part of the solution, I think.
Hopefully,
That's what you're
yeah,
doing.
that's what
Yeah.
we dream. That's what we
Yeah.
dream. Really hope that it really becomes a tool where people that the people can utilize to be more sustainable in their lives.
Yeah, and it will. I'm pretty sure of
Yeah,
that.
thanks, Thomas.
No, definitely. What's your favorite thing to grow? That's another question.
Growth.
Yeah,
People are gonna hate me. Radish because it's so quick.
that was the first thing I ever grew.
I'm so impatient. Like I love growing stuff. I've tried to grow tomatoes. They are just I'm hopeless with tomatoes.
Yeah,
But I'm impatient. So I like things. I like putting things and coming back and seeing them. And radish is just perfect for it. You start today, 25 days later, you've got radish. So it's more about being able to see the output like of your
yeah,
work than and I love radish as well. I like eating.
yeah. It's nice.
But radish are good
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah. Radish. When you're, I guess, not working on your app or at work, what do you like to do? Do you ever get any downtime?
I do not lately, but
Yeah,
I try to have a balanced life. So I'm a very active person.
yeah,
I last year I started kite surfing. So throughout this season, you know, come November, late November, up until early March, it's great time to kite surfing in Perth. So I try go kite surfing most days if possible. If not, definitely most weekends. That's most of my friends are from kite surfing, so it's a little community that I enjoy being a part of. Surfing as well. I took surfing last year, and I'm gonna try now. That's winter. It's just starting, like
yeah,
fall actually, but the waves are gonna get a little bit better.
yeah.
Then I will transition into surfing, and then when winter comes, snowboarding.
Okay.
I've started snowboarding. This last season, I just fell in love with it, so really enjoy it. But when I'm not doing those activities, I really enjoy playing the piano. I've got a piano over here. Um,
Wow.
I love giving myself the opportunity to stay connected with my creative side. Go to the gym when possible,
Yeah.
and that's it. And then honestly, spend time with my friends. I love having people over because I enjoy cooking. So I'll cook, have my friends over, and then just drink some wine and chat.
Yeah. You're an incredible guy, man.
Oh, thank you. That's
That's
very kind.
made me feel lazy. It's like you do
No,
so much
no,
stuff.
not at all. Look, I'll tell you one thing. I
Yeah.
was never that person.
Yeah.
It's actually really funny because when I was growing up, soccer is huge in Brazil, right?
Yeah.
I hated it. I always make the joke that because I don't play soccer and I'm really bad at it,
Yeah.
Brazilian government actually sent me to Australia. I didn't come here because I wanted. I was kicked out
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm really bad at it. And
Yeah.
growing up, I think my parents, especially my father, really wanted me to enjoy soccer and really wanted me to play because my father is really addicted to it, like to the point that if his team lost a
Yeah.
match, he would be super grumpy during dinner,
Yeah.
and then we'd be like, okay, great, it's one of those days. So
Yeah.
I was never really into sports. So when I came to Australia, because of the Australian culture, because of Perth culture, then I started to be way more active. Because you know, like you come to a different country and you don't know a lot of people. When I came here, my first 2 years, I was really my life was just basically my master's. I was just studying to become a scientist and really trying to do well on my research.
Yeah.
So an easy way for me to meet people and stay active was okay. I'll take one activity and I'll give it a go. And if I like it, I'll stick to it. If I don't, at least I made friends. So I tried AFL. I was really bad at it.
Yeah.
was really bad at it. Like the boys were really patient, but just
Yeah.
so bad. Um, I did a bit of basketball, didn't work, and then I started transitioning into water sports, and then I found my element, and then
Yeah.
one just took the other. And if you pay attention to it, all of the sports that I mentioned, they're board sports, like kite
Yeah.
surfing,
Yeah.
surfing. So I'm not really going too far from a comfort zone at the moment.
Yeah. Nah, that's cool. It's like, yeah, the ocean. It's like your book.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love it. And it's just fantastic environment to be in. And scuba diving as well. I'm trying to learn how to scuba dive. Just got
Yeah,
my license.
nice. Oh, nice. That'll be cool. I have to get some cool footage down
Hopefully.
there.
Need to buy a GoPro.
Yeah, definitely. Um, what's your top three movies of all time?
Top three movies. Oh, you really got me there because I don't really watch that much TV. Well, I'll have to say, let's just think about three different categories. My first one, and it always comes from my when people ask this question, it's a movie called, and it's not really that well known. It's called Still Alice. Have you heard of it?
No.
Amazing. It's a drama, but it's based on real story. It's about this lecturer. I don't know if she was at Stanford or not, but she was into um languages, literacies, and speech. And then she got really famous because she did amazing work on um early stage learning, language learning, so in babies and kids, right? And then the subject of her works were actually her kids because she was on maternal leave, and then she studied her kids and how they learned language. So she became really, really, really well known in the field. But then, can I give a spoiler?
Yeah, yeah. I'll watch it anyway. It's cool.
Let's just go for it. But then
Yeah,
she gets diagnosed with, well, that's in the description of the movie anyway.
yeah.
Then she gets diagnosed with early stage onset Alzheimer's. And that's devastating to her because she starts forgetting things. And then her whole career is based on communicating and then talking to people. So the whole movie is about a real story and then how she navigates through this quite complicated situation. It's quite moving. I'm not gonna lie, I cry all the time. Every single time that I watch, I cry.
Yeah,
Um, very cliche, but just because I love sci-fi, Interstellar was a great movie. I
yeah.
really love it. I don't know, I've got something about space, so I love watching science movie. I actually only talk
Same.
about I just
Yeah,
realized it.
yeah,
I don't know. It's very, very captivating. I like the Hans Zimmer. It's one of my favorite
yeah,
composers as well. So I
yeah.
enjoy that he's in there. Um, Third movie, I gotta give like a comedy movie or something. I cannot mention a science movie.
I love sci-fi movies too. Yes.
I'm safe then. Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I'll leave that blank. Oh yes, Watership Down, which
Watership
is also
Down.
a book.
Okay.
It's actually not a movie, but watch it. It's a four episodes mini series on Netflix.
Yep.
So it's called Watership Down. Another great book that was made for kids, but it's
Yep.
definitely not for kids. The
Yeah.
message there is so strong.
Wow. Okay. I'll
Yeah.
check. I'll check all that out. But yeah. Well, coming back to piano, now I got to ask you, what's your top three favorite musicians,
Ludovico.
composers?
I don't even have to think about it. It's a guy called Ludovico Einaudi. He's an Italian guy. He got really famous, especially after social media introduced those reels.
Yeah.
Um, he's in every movie, to be honest. I'm sure you would have heard one of his songs.
Yeah.
He's what we call neoclassic. So
Okay.
it's not, Beethoven or Mozart type of thing, very full body, sort of like classical music, but add some soul to it. So it's very beautiful and relaxing to listening to it.
Yeah.
But he also he composes epic songs. So there are a lot of movies that actually bring his songs on as a soundtrack because it's very, very nice to hear. He's have ever seen that movie called Untouchables?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the soundtrack of the whole movie is actually from Ludovico.
Wow.
Yeah, it's very nice.
That's a great movie too. That'll be one of my favorites.
Really?
Yeah.
There you go. So yeah, I think the main soundtrack is from Ludovico. It's yeah, can't remember now, but it's super cool. Super cool. I think it was one of the first songs that I learned from him. And then I'll have to go back into classics. Like I love Chopin.
Yeah.
Um That was actually my nickname when I was at the university.
Well,
Um, so Chopin was it's definitely one, and Hans Zimmer as well. But
yeah,
I think
he's great too.
he's just
Yeah,
amazing. Yeah. So I'll have two neo-classics and a classic as well.
yeah. It's funny you're talking about that because I've got two. I'm not a piano. I can't really fit one here, but I just bought two keyboards to start learning.
Nice.
I learned when I was little, but yeah, I really want to do it now. So and then like just make some music just
Oh,
for
nice,
fun.
man. Look, with piano, just start really like just
Yeah,
start playing, and then it's more muscle memory than anything. The more you
yeah,
play, the better you get, and the more your hands get used to going different directions and stuff. So
yeah,
nice. Gotta
yeah,
send me a video once you when you actually finish learning a song. Send me a video.
yeah. I will. I'll send
Nice.
a. I'll show you what the setup I got too. When I'll send some photos what ones I got, and then
Okay,
yeah, I'll
nice.
make a video for you.
Cool. I'm gonna put it out there. So yeah, so for those who are watching, if you are really interesting in urban gardening, if you're really interested in community driven projects and social projects, and you think you can make a difference, like you think you can you could do something beyond your backyard, check Aspargo. We're a beta version now, so we're taking feedback, we're improving the tool based on the needs of our users. So just check the app out. Let us know what you think. Let us know if that's helping your community. Try connect with your community. The more people around you, the more useful the tool is. So try and spread the word. Um, but yeah, just stay tuned because we're really out there to do some amazing things. We really believe that we can change things for good. So yeah, I think that's it.
What message would you give to the world?
Uh oof, deep one. Honestly, if I could give, and that's very unrelated to Aspergo in a sense, but really related to why we created as a social media, is in a world full of information and full of copycatting and a lot of people repeating themselves. Try to be authentic, and just take the first step. Like you've mentioned early on about my advice to people that want to start a project and do something. Be authentic. As we get older, we convince ourselves that if we haven't achieved something by a certain age, there's no time to start. That's just a lie. We can always do things. We're always capable of doing things. So if you believe you've got calling, if you believe you have something that you're really passionate about and you can make a difference, just go for it. You will. Like it's guaranteed that you change someone's life. So just give it a go. Believe in yourself. Go for it.
Beautiful, man. Oh,
Thanks.
thanks for coming on. It's been great talking to you.
No, thanks for inviting. It's really nice talking to you. It's great that we finally caught up. Like,
Yeah,
been a while since we last spoke. So I'm very,
yeah.
very grateful for being here, and thanks for inviting me again.